Good morning. It is Kansas City's Morning News with E.J. Becker and Ellen Schenk. Lisa Carter in for Ellen Schenk this morning. Senator Roy Blunt, kind enough to join us on the news line this morning. And, Senator, I would warn you that the NSA is listening, but you probably already know that.
You've got to assume that. And, with all the things that we use to communicate on now, there's probably not a lot of privacy out there anyway, but I do think the NSA is collecting too much information, and to their own detriment. I think if they collected less, they could analyze more, but the things that we use to communicate with are not as private ever as we'd like to think they are.
Well, I heard Senator McCaskill say yesterday that if we really knew what the NSA was monitoring and what they were collecting and what they were doing with it, we'd probably be much more comfortable with it. Can you tell us a little bit more, just briefly, what they are collecting and whether or not we ought to be more comfortable with it?
Well, I was on the Intel Committee in the House and the Senate for several years, just left that committee to join the Armed Services Committee this year, particularly an important time I thought to be there because of all the cost savings we need to find in the military and find it in the right way. But from the Intelligence Committee perspective, from the Intel perspective, what they're collecting is the numbers that you talk to. The government, unless they have a specific warrant, isn't listening to anything, but they are collecting and storing, and I'm not particularly comfortable with that. They store things for 5 years. The telephone companies have the same information, but they don't keep it nearly as long. And so the government doesn't know any more about you than the telephone company does, but they are holding on to that. And truthfully, if something happens, they have great potential to go back and check the Boston Bombers phone number and see all the people they have talked to all the time they had that phone number. But I don't think they have a whole lot of potential in this particular program to catch much in advance. In fact, I think they have so much information that the so-called false positives kind of overwhelm you every day. And I think there's something that the government and the administration needs to really rethink and ask themselves, why are we collecting this? What happens down the road? Does this become available in a civil trial? If someone says, I want to know everybody that this businessman talked to over the last 5 years that might have been involved in what this trial's about. So I think these programs need to be looked at real carefully to be sure we're not just collecting for the sake of collecting, but really getting the information that helps make us safe.
Senator, let's talk about the IRS and the bonuses. The IRS getting ready to give out $70 million in bonuses to executives despite the sequestration. You've got the legislation from Senator McCaskill ready to curb those bonuses. Will you support that legislation? And can you work to get House Republicans to do the same?
Well, I will support that legislation. The concept, I haven't looked at the specifics of it yet. I don't know of any reason I wouldn't support it. I think giving bonuses at a time when the government contends that there are so many other things that they can't do and meet the spending goals that the law now sets for us doesn't make much sense. And it particularly doesn't make much sense to give bonuses in the IRS right now. The conduct of the IRS from the commissioner to others in the IRS has not been acceptable. And if I was them and I was trying to restore confidence with the American people, I would not be giving bonuses. If you look at where some of these bonuses are in recent years, they've been to people that have been involved in some of the things we are and should be very concerned about.
Senator Roy Blunt is with us.
About the IRS.
Real quick, Senator.
Can I say one other thing? I think when the government loses trust, when people no longer trust their government to do the right thing, then people don't feel the same obligation to do the right thing. And I'd be very concerned about that as a citizen, and particularly if I was President Obama, I'd be doing everything I could to restore people believing that you're going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Senator, I've only got 30 seconds, and I'd love to ask you real quick, what should we expect on immigration from the Gang of Eight today?
I will have a few more amendments today. I don't think we finished that up this week. They're very reluctant, for whatever reason, to have anything that measures whether the border is actually operationally under control or not. And I continue to think that's the key to House passage. It's the key to getting a bill on the president's desk. And that's why I've supported several amendments and helped draft several amendments to try to create a system where people know that the problem is now under control. Now let's deal with the other issues, which is what do we do with people who came here before it was under control, and what are the real workforce needs of the country.
Missouri Senator Roy Blunt with us on the Newsline. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for your time this morning.
Great to talk to you.
You got it.